We'll be back in just a moment to speak with our pole winner. Here we go.
I can't believe it's this. I can deal with it either way. It doesn't bother me. Well, let's play it. Let's give it just like that.
Ready? Vince Paleo, you're on the pole here in Dallas, Texas. This is a very prestigious event to be the leader in.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with how things have gone so far in practice, and we're having a great time here in Dallas. The organizers and the city's put together a real nice racetrack, and we're having a great time here so far.
This is a fairly long course for go-karts, and of course you've got a shifter kart here. How many times will you shift during a single lap?
We'll have to sit down and think about it, but it's a lot of times. We've got the 6-speed transmission in these things, and it's a relatively tight street course, so you spend a lot of time shifting gears.
What's your sensation of speed this low to the ground, especially with all these concrete walls lining the race course?
Well, the concrete walls makes it feel like you're going about 50 miles an hour faster than you really are, but just forces you to concentrate a little bit better.
Well, Vince, you have a good race here this afternoon in Dallas.
Well, thanks a lot. Just like to thank Emick Enterprises for putting me into a great kart, and we'll see if we can win this thing for them.
Ready? It's a 3 abreast start here in Dallas, Texas, and for Alex Barron, he starts 4th. That'll be the inside of the 2nd row. Is that any type of advantage getting into turn 1 here, Alex?
Yeah, the 2nd row is in between the front row, and hopefully I get the start, go up the middle, and get the lead.
Alex, how prestigious is it to race here in Dallas, Texas?
Well, I had a lot of fun, and hopefully I can keep the heat down on the engine, and the outcome will be real well.
This is a pretty fast course. Is there any corner that you really worry about getting around here?
Yeah, it'll definitely be the first corner. It's going to be awful tight down there.
Okay, thank you.
Quincy, Illinois.
Okay, ready? Brian Smith from Quincy, Illinois starts on the outside of the front row in the 3rd starting position in the shifter kart. It's going to be awful tough for you to make it into turn 1.
It'll be a tight corner in turn 1, and we have to remember that the first corner doesn't win the race, so hopefully we can keep it clean and get through the first corner just fine.
What type of race do you anticipate here over this 1.4-mile circuit?
I think you're going to see probably the top 6, 7 drivers here are very close, and so I think you're going to see a race that's going to be nip and tuck, and the draft is going to come into play in this track.
Who will be your stiffest competition?
Of course, the pole sitter. I think Vince will be really tough to beat. He's almost a full second faster than the rest of us. So he had something up on us yesterday with gearing, but I think now we've got some things figured out with some gearing in our own car. I think we'll be fine.
Thank you. Got a pen on you? Well, I was going to write his name down. BY or BI?
10 minutes till engine start. 10 minutes. Keep them running. Come right up that wall.
The field will be headed by Vince Puleo, number 17. Mike Finley, number 31. Brian Smith, Kart 18. Alex Barron, Kart 27. Lyle Clark, Kart number 40. And here they go on their first. The parade lap for Pro Karts. Good morning and welcome to the 93 Grand Prix of Dallas.
Absolutely, Glenn. This is the first event, first race of 5 superb races we're going to have today. We've got the 2 kart races, the shifter karts, and then the sprint enduro karts. Then we have Dodge Shelby Pro Series racing. Then the Trans Am, the feature event of the weekend, should be superb. And then we're going to wrap it all up with the American Continental Championship season finale. Going to have some great racing. Once again, the shifter karts out on track. And this promises to be a superb show. They, if you weren't here during their practice and qualifying times earlier in the weekend, you really did miss something. This is some spectacular racing. Got a nice field, and as we said, we took a look. The 63.91 second lap time translates into average speeds exceeding 70 miles an hour. And considering they have a top end of all of 100, 105 miles an hour, maybe 110 for these guys, that means they're going through these turns awfully quick.
Oh, great to be back with you today. Rick Benjamin here, and we had a moment with Dorsey Schrader, who is on the outside pole for the Trans Am event later on today. We did some television work with Dorsey a short time ago for a race that's coming up later on, and he was saying how these karts go through the corners without lifting hardly. They look like, in his words, a rock on a string going around. And they really do put on a great show. So Vince Puleo has been at this a long time, and he and Michael Finley on the lead row ought to put on a great show getting down into turn 1. You love the smell, too, of the fuel of these karts burning.
Blends oil. There's nothing like it. They're working their way underneath the viaducts in the parking garage for Union Arena right now. They're climbing up the hill. The starter out on the track side, and they tend to run them. Look at that, 3-4 abreast on their show laps. They're coming up the hill. Again, these are shifter karts. They have clutches. The clutches are mounted on the steering column and the shifter somewhere in that area. There's the green flag, Rick. They are underway, 20 minutes of go-kart racing, and they are heading down into that first turn. And number 17, Vince Puleo, got the jump a little bit, but again, it is a swarm of machinery behind them, and that's how they run.
Angry Hornets, Greg, around turn 1. Puleo with a good lead down the short straightaway into 2. Jackie Oakes had some problems early on. She will join the field at the rear. They got her kart running, and she is out there. Puleo out in front now over Alex Barron in car number 27, or kart number 27. Look at how quickly they zip through that first part of the loop.
Interestingly enough, as Glenn alluded to, Alex Barron, a late race replacement here, and has done a good job early on in this event, has moved up smartly up into second. Third right now, number 18, Brian Smith, and number 20, that's a good start, Gary Glanger, up from 7th on the row. Oh, look at this, a beautiful, he's trying the high line around the outside of everybody, and he got 2 of them.
He did, sure did, and that gives him the inside line on the next corner. There's turn 8, and then turn 9, and up onto the straightaway again. They'll be coming up the hill here in just a moment, and boy, I'll tell you, it shows you how well these karts stick when you can run the outside like that.
Well, that's the whole concept. We talked earlier. Some of them, you get into tight corners, they'll bicycle, come up on the 2 outside wheels. Here comes your leader, Puleo. Then number 20, a beautiful move. He's up from well back in the pack. A superb job opening lap by Gary Glanger.
Greg Perkins in kart number 15 running third now as the 20 moves into second spot. That's Gary Glanger in kart number 20 on the outside. And you can notice how much higher a line they're willing to take down through turn 2 and 3.
Well, of course, when you think about all the rubber that's been laid down by the cars here, that's a wide groove, and you can get 3 of these go-karts in that groove. It makes for exciting racing. They will run. Got a pass for second spot. I believe that's number 18, Brian Smith, retaking second from number 20, Glanger. Nope, that's number 15. That's Craig Perkins having a good opening few laps as well. He's up in a second and quickly challenging Puleo.
Greg Perkins has really been on the move here since the drop of the green flag. Puleo is going to have his hands full, I think, with Perkins here in just a moment. How quickly they arrow out of turn 9 and start up the final straightaway by the railroad tracks coming up the hill here. And you can see these cars. Now they're starting to string it out just a little bit. The first 3 running in single file. First 4 and 5 actually in single file.
Number 40, Lyle Clark, starting to make a move. He's down to the inside, looking out. Not going to try it this time. He was looking to go around Glanger for third, decided to tuck right back in, putting a lot of pressure on Glanger. We've got a great battle going as well for 5th spot.
Leader remains Puleo, followed by the 20 of Glanger, the 15 of Perkins. Perkins now up into second. Glanger is third, and then the 40 of Lyle Clark running in fourth. Running fifth at the moment, the 31. Michael Finley, who started on the outside pole, but Finley getting kicked back to fifth spot. And here's the 15 moving right up. That's Craig Perkins. He's dogging Puleo now and moves to the inside, trying to make a pass for the lead. So Perkins is going to take over out of Houston. Craig Perkins is your new leader as they work through turns 7, 8, and 9.
You know, just watching this, it's obvious why a lot of the champions in racing got their start in karts and why kart is so good. It's a much smaller scale, but all of the things a racing car will do, a kart does. We just watched the braking into turn 8, just like the big cars, twitching when he was trying to make that move, when you're really standing on the brakes. And again, a lot of these karts only run with rear brakes. Very, very hard work out, but Puleo got him back.
Puleo back in front as they come up the main straightaway and down into turn 1. And I raced go-karts for a number of years a long time ago, and I'll tell you, the concept of a 125cc motor with a 6-speed gearbox, I can't imagine how busy you are driving one of these vehicles, because it's the G-forces are so strong, it's all you can do just to hang on and steer the kart. But when you're working with that much power and having the ability to shift through 6 speeds, that's almost a Formula 1 type gearbox. That's really amazing that these karts are able to go so quickly.
And again, keep in mind, 2 distinct types of kart, in a sense, racing here. They're all 125cc shifters, but some of them are uprights, some of them are the laydowns, and it makes for very interesting racing. Karts on a longer track be a little bit more effective, but we see the guys up front on the shifter karts, the upright karts, they're driving them.
I think that it's a case of the track being so tight everywhere from turn 1 through turn 9. There's 2 good straightaways, and the drivers we've talked to have all indicated there's really 2 good places to pass, going into 1 and going into turn 8. And I think the laydown karts may be a little bit of a disadvantage because it's a little harder to see and to see exactly what kind of line you want to take on the backside of the course.
Interestingly, one of those great passing lines, apparently wider up. You can just let it sort of hook up and flat track through there.
I was watching some of the tires being mounted up in the pit area earlier. These karts use very, very wide tires to scale. If you think about it, they're probably the equivalent of an 18-inch tire on a full-size race car. So it's a lot of tire for a very lightweight vehicle.
And they generate great stick. You keep in mind, especially when you're sitting that low to the ground with that wide of a tire on a very wide chassis, the center of gravity way down low, and they really, really stick around the turns.
All your springs and shocks are really in the tires on these cars. There's nothing else to give you any suspension. So tire choice is critical, and the ability to make your tires work well throughout the entire 20 minutes is really going to be crucial too. We're about a quarter of the way home today in our shifter kart event here at the Grand Prix of Dallas. Still that battle between the 17 and the 15. The 17, Puleo, has been out in front pretty much all the way. Craig Perkins out of Houston in kart number 15 running second.
And number 40, Lyle Clark, just a few lengths back in third, watching it, looking for any kind of mistake. And if he gets one, he'll be right there. This is really almost a three-kart fight for the lead right now.
I think you'll see as we get down to the last few minutes, too, that it may well bunch up. These races generally finish under a blanket. It's pretty rare in the shifter kart events that I've seen over the years, Greg, that you'll see them really stretch out and somebody win by a big margin. They're so equal, generally speaking, that it's usually a tight battle to the finish.
Well, again, all of them running 125cc motorcycle engines with the gearbox. Oh, not a whole lot of power advantage here and there, a little bit maybe that can be tweaked and massaged. Doesn't really matter, you're running a different engine, different make, still the same size. We see that in all kinds of racing. When you've got this basically the same engine package, you can go out and run very, very close racing. That's exactly what we're seeing. Leaders right now, nice pass, number 15, Perkins, got a nice run out of turn 9, put the pass on early this time on Puleo, but they're going to start working some lap traffic, just like in anything else that plays a role.
It'll get real interesting here before much longer, I'm sure. Talking to Anthony Lazzaro after he won the Olds Pro event yesterday. Of course, Anthony raced go-karts for many years. He said, boy, these guys really know how to get it done here. He's very impressed with the kind of driving we've been seeing. And Anthony Lazzaro's career, I think, a good indicator of what someone who's proficient in car racing can expect to enjoy later on.
Anthony had a lot of success, and again, the first time he moved up, he ran a couple of sedan races to start his pro car career. but his first open cockpit sports racing, similar to go-kart type of a race, he won it. And again, you can attribute that to the racing ability that he learned. He always had the natural talent, obviously, but the karting really helped him learn how to race, and it helped him learn doing it.
You learn how to pass in these vehicles. I mean, when you figure you've got 40 karts in a starting field as Puleo continues to battle it out with Perkins. They have just been side by side, trading the lead back and forth the last several laps. And that's what makes a race driver. You know, there are guys who are quick, who can qualify well running alone, but learning how to race, how to pass, how to set people up, how to use strategy in an event is what it's all about. That's what you learn when you race these pro karts.
You know what, number 31, Mike Finley out of Richardson, Texas, he qualified second, dropped back a ways, and he's very quietly just been closing it back up. Now all over the back of number 20, Gary Glanger, in a superb fight for third.
When the karts are so equal, we've seen this in professional automobile racing so many times, when you lose momentum somewhere, it's very hard to gain it back again. When everybody's running equal on a tight course, you don't get any real advantage off the corners or into the corners. Boy, just keeping your speed up is critical, and if you get off to a bad start, it can take you a long time to recover from it.
The one nice thing about a shifter car with a clutch is you can always snap it down a couple of gears and get going again. When we watch the sprint enduros, if they scrub off speed and they lose the engine revs, that centrifugal clutch takes a while to spool back up again. Oh, and around the outside, a nice move there by Mike Finley as number 40, Glanger, went down to the inside. Finley just went right up and around the outside of him. A nice piece of driving by Finley to hold off number 20, Glanger.
Field stringing out, good battle for 15th and 16th, the 27 and the 46 going at it as they go by us. The 46, Gary Buchanan from San Antonio, the 27, Alex Barron from Oceanside, California. Barron has fallen back off the pace. He had started toward the front and was one of the contenders early on.
One of the karts off over at the exit of turn 1. Yellow flags are waving. We can't get a number yet for you. He's trying to get it pushed off track. He's over to the inside and out of the racing line. So the yellow flags are down, and now he's got it, looks like he's got it refired.
Didn't see any spin, but there must have been one over there. He's trying to get some help. Normally they start these karts with a battery kart, much like an Indy car with an electric motor to spin the motor over, but I would imagine you could lock it in gear and push it and get it going as well.
That's what he was trying to do. He had his foot in the driver's seat, was pushing with the other foot, reaching down, trying to disengage the clutch to get it to fire. Finally got a push start here from one of the corner workers, again doing yeoman duty out there. He's back underway. We do have a debris flag out going into turn 1, so something may have been deposited out on the track over there.
Leaders working the backside of the racetrack. Still that good battle between the 27, the 46, and the 77, and we've got caution right here at the start-finish line. One of the karts apparently coming to a stop on the main straightaway. They had to reach over the wall. That's the advantage of having a 300-pound racing vehicle. Two people can reach over, pick it up, and lift it over the guardrail.
Yep, something, I don't know whether it broke or he actually spun. Looked like maybe it broke. He pulled over, hopped out, and they just pulled her right over the wall. Green. Got some good racing going on. Looking now for our leaders as they continue to work around the track. A great fight for the lead, a great fight for third, and I think we've got a good battle starting to form up for fifth as well.
Sure do. We'll take a look at it next time by. The 15 and the 17, Puleo and Granger still duking it out. Granger with the lead that time by. The 31 of Michael Finley up to third. Here's the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. The 42 and the 19 involved in that battle. That's Alan Weinecke from Waco, Texas. And the 42, John Hollingsworth from Addison, who only has 1 year of pro kart experience under his belt. And Hollingsworth really going after it today.
Number 20, Glanger, has slipped back a couple of positions, but moving back into the fray. Lyle Clark out of New Braunfels, Texas, has moved back up into the 4th spot and starting to close in. So we're seeing a lot of position switching all the way through the pack, but up front, a superb fight right now for the lead.
Puleo and Granger apparently want to settle this thing themselves. We're about halfway home here in this 20-minute timed event. Should be time for about 17 or 18 laps of racing. By our clock, we're just about 10 minutes in here this morning at the Grand Prix of Dallas.
Well, I've been watching, and I don't know whether it's a hand signal from the leader, number 15, as of late, Craig Perkins, to his crew acknowledging a sign or something, or whether he's signaling to Puleo behind him, like, okay, you go by me now and I'll tuck in with you, and using the drafting technique to break away from pursuers. Seems to be working, whatever it is, because number 31, again, Mike Finley, is continuing to lose just a little bit of ground.
Could well be the case. A lot of strategy in play. for all these drivers today in the shifter kart event here at our Grand Prix of Dallas. We welcome you on this Sunday. Of course, still ahead this afternoon, the Shelby Pro Series cars will be out, our feature event of the day. The SCCA Trans Am Tour 100 miles late this afternoon to wrap up our Grand Prix of Dallas weekend. Of course, the American Continental Series will be out as well following the Trans Am this afternoon.
Just chatted with the driver of the number 49 kart out of Roanoke, Texas, Russ Bond, who came walking by. He broke over turn 1. He said what happened, he got involved in a little scrap. His elbow hit the coil wire and snapped the coil wire off and killed the motor. So that's things happen in go-kart racing.
Not a lot of elbow room in these vehicles, automobiles, if you will. They're obviously very tight in the cockpit area. The seats most of the drivers use are fitted to them, much like in a Formula car or an Indy car. And you just don't have any room to flail around in there.
Well, interestingly, when the Sprint Enduro karts come out where they don't shift, very often going down the straights, you'll see in the Sprint kart, the driver leaning up and over, going like this with his hand behind him, and they're actually trying to shift a little bit to get the engine to run a little bit faster in certain sections. That's tuning throughout the race.
Yeah, absolutely so. Much like a race driver in a car would adjust brakes or adjust sway bars from the cockpit, these go-kart drivers, and that's been around for 30 years, trying to work on the carburetor a little bit as you run to get a little more speed.
That's their version of messing with the boost knob.
That's right.
Looking for the leaders once again, a superb fight up front. Number 15 has been leading it for a while, Craig Perkins of Houston. But Vince Palaio, the pole sitter out of Galt, California, continues to be very close in second, and we're looking for them to make an appearance up here. They're running right now. Here it comes. It is incredibly close as they work through traffic. Less than a kart length between the two of them. It still goes, though, to Perkins down through turn 1. Then it's number 31. Now he's got a lot of pressure. Number 40, Lyle Clark, has closed in right behind Mike Finley. And that's that great fight for third.
That is a wonderful battle. Finley and the kart number 40 really doing a great job. Lyle Clark out of New Braunfels. He's been fourth now for many laps, but he is giving the 31 all he can handle. Finley really knowing that there's room back there. Something else you'll learn, I think, Rick, in these karts, you don't have any mirrors, but you learn to turn and look and see who's with you. And it really gives you a good sense of working traffic, I think, when you race this type of vehicle because the competition is so close.
As you said, you learn passing, but you learn traffic because there's always traffic, and you work best in a big clump, especially on a long track where the drafting comes into play. You can learn the art of racing here, and the principle is the principle. It doesn't matter where you go with it. The nice thing about the shifter karts is you also learn a little bit of handwork and footwork to get some gearing down.
I think most kart racers would tell you, too, the biggest thing in being a successful racer in any vehicle is to have that seat-in-the-pants sense about you, about what you can do with your car or your vehicle. And when you're sitting about 3/4 of an inch off the racetrack with no suspension other than the tires, you really do understand that seat-of-the-pants feel. It really gives you a good sense of vehicle control to drive one of these very quickly.
Third qualifier, Brian Smith, number 18, is finding himself all alone in the 5th spot right now. Being a nice run. Number 7 was real close to him, and again, we're working some traffic. I'm not sure whether number 7 has actually gone down a lap, or if Paul Davis has just put on a great charge through the field, because he was out of the top 15. Number 46, hand in the air problem for him.
The 46 driven by Gary Buchanan out of San Antonio. Buchanan came by us with his hand in the air and his engine shut off, so Buchanan will be a non-finisher here today. Evidently mechanical problems as he went by the start-finish line.
One of the things that's interesting when you look at these karts, even in the same class, and for instance the upright shifter kart, is the different approaches they're using to get the aerodynamics to help them as they're sitting upright. Some just have a long piece that just comes up the column. Some have wraparound cowlings. So it's very interesting to watch it.
Several different designs. Obviously the point is to get the kart through the wind, just like in a race car, as best you can, but the bullet nose upright karts, I think, are the most interesting looking. That's a fairly new design the last several years. We were looking at them yesterday with Jack Baldwin. We were getting ready to do some television here out on pit road, and Jack said, gee, where do you put your hands with that design? Of course, the kart steering wheel only needs to move a couple of inches in either direction to get you around the tightest of corners. But Jack was saying, well, I don't know how you do that. Fit your hand under the cowling there and out of the steering wheel. But obviously, these drivers have a method for doing that.
Looking for that lead fight as they continue to lap here. We are now 3 minutes remaining in this one. and that battle for the lead has not dissipated at all. Very, very intense racing. And they've managed to draw away, continue to draw away from Finley. It's going to come down to a good two-person race here. And look at this. Puleo closer than he has been, still not electing to try the move. I wonder if he may not be thinking the best time to do it's out of that last turn in the last lap, so he can't defend it.
He's about out of time. The starter's waving the white flag this time by, so Puleo and Perkins getting the white flag this time around. They've got less than a half a lap to go in their battle.
Number 18, Brian Smith, there was a huge move down to the inside by Lyle Clark. Number 40, they were 3 abreast going around a lap Kart. Number 18 didn't really see him and turned into the corner, and number 40, Clark, was hard on the brakes. Both of them skittering through, they made it. And number 18, Brian Smith, holds on to a very, very close third now.
Smith and Clark have waged quite a battle as well, but the real battle up front, Puleo in 17 and Perkins in 15. They've been going at it for the lead really since the drop of the green flag today. Craig Perkins out of Houston, Vince Puleo from California, coming a long way to race with us here this weekend at the Grand Prix. The white flag from the starter's stand, and we ought to be seeing, there's the checkered flag, and your winner is the 15 of Craig Perkins out of Houston. So a Texas driver wins today to open up our racing program here for the Grand Prix of Dallas.
I'll tell you, Vincent Puleo, number 17, it wasn't a matter of a half a car length behind, it was a half a cart length. He had the front end of his cart right alongside of the cart of number 15, Craig Perkins. Again, he was saving his move for that last lap, not quite enough to get it done, but a truly entertaining battle. That fight for third, also superb.
And the two of them, the two leaders, were knifing around a lapped cart at the time they were coming to the line, so there was some lap traffic right in the midst of it. Of course, these are small enough that you don't have to have a whole lot of room to make a pass, but it really made it exciting coming up the hill to the checkered flag. So hats off and congratulations to Craig Perkins out of Houston. He had cart number 15, the winner of our shifter cart event here this morning.
When they lap traffic, the handling is so tight, the steering, as you said, so precise, they just dart. It's all darty, and when you're not used to it, you kind of think, oh, and they just make it through nice and clean. Great race.
Well, we've got a few moments now. The winners will be coming into victory lane. And a little bit later on, we've got more go-kart racing for you. Just a few minutes break here. Greg Creamer headed toward victory lane to talk to the kart drivers who did so well here today.
Yes, Brian, let him right here. Good race.
Congratulations, Craig Perkins. You picked up the victory here in this 125cc shifter class at Dallas, Texas. I was quite impressed with your run.
Thanks a lot. We had a lot of trouble this weekend. We missed Friday's session. We broke a pipe on about the second lap, and it really set us back. And weren't real sure of the combination last night after the second session. We made a bunch of changes overnight, and I think we just got kind of lucky, you know. Vince qualified on the pole. He had some great laps on Saturday, and we really didn't know if we were going to be able to run with him or not, but it was a great race out there. Me and Vince had a lot of fun.
It seemed like close quarter competition all the way around the racetrack. Got pretty precarious a couple times, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Vince has been around longer than I have, and that's longer than I want to admit right now. So I have no qualms about racing that close with him, even with concrete walls around. I mean, we touched a couple times just lightly, but it's all in racing. There was never anything that would have been a problem.
Well, congratulations on your victory here in Dallas.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, Vince, a little short on victory.
Well, me and Craig were having a good race there, and I didn't have enough to get away from him, so I figured I'd just lay back there and wait, try to use the draft coming up this straight here. But Craig made a good move around the lap car. We came up on that last straight there, and he ended up just catching that little bit of momentum. I got held up for a second. It was just enough to cost me the win, I think, but he did a great job.
Mike. What's your last name?
Finley.
Okay. Ready? Mike Finley, you ran third here this afternoon, some distance behind those front two karts.
Yeah, we've got one of 3 air-cooled motors here, and in this temperature, they tend to slow down towards the end of the race. But we had good power, felt real good. Had a bad start, but made it up. Finished third. You can't ask for more than that right now. Thanks a lot.